Hi there, Jamie here today at Teachers Tech. Hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to show you how to use Microsoft Access. So this is a beginner's tutorial in Microsoft Access. I'll have a series of different videos that will follow up and build on each one. So today we'll go over the basics of Microsoft Access, making sure you know how to create your first database. Let's get started today on Teachers Tech with Microsoft Access. So why would you want to use Microsoft Access versus Microsoft Excel? Well, Microsoft Access is a database management software that allows you to store an incredible amount of information, and then you can create relationships between that information. So this makes it easier to find or sort what you're looking for, and it makes it simpler to use than something versus Microsoft Excel. So what you might find after you start to learn Microsoft Access is that some of the things you're doing in Microsoft Excel might be best suited in Microsoft Access when you're looking to create that database. Now today's lesson will be very simple. We're just going to create a contact list inside Microsoft Access, then we'll create some queries and reports and forms around this information. Let's get started with our first database in Microsoft Access. Everything will be timestamped in this video. So what that means, if you take a look down below in the description of the video, you'll see different numbers and you can click on the time and it will take you to that part of the video very quickly. All right, let's start with our Microsoft Access new database. I already have Microsoft Access opened here. It's part of my Office 365 subscription that I have. I'm going to go ahead and start a blank database, but I just want to point out something before that. As I go through this here today and explain the basics, after you kind of know that, when I take a look at new, these are all these different templates that you can use. Now, once you go through this will help you understand how the templates are made. So I kind of suggest that after you learn the basics, try looking at some templates and seeing what they did, because they're great to use and will save you a lot of time. All right, so starting a blank database, you can see that I have right here, or even if I'm at home, the blank database is here. These are any previous ones that I've had open that I'm working on that it will save. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and what you'll notice right away is that it has to be saved before you continue. So other things like Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word, you just open it up and it's not saved. You do have to save this first. So what I'm going to do is just call this demo, and I'm going to call this contact list, just like this, because that's what we're creating today. Now I can say where I want it to go. I'm just going to leave it into this spot right here. You could click the folder and pick somewhere else if you wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and hit create right now, and we have our first database created now. When I created my first blank database here, I have a table that opened up with it. This table hasn't been saved or anything yet, but what I want to point up at is up top of the tab. So since this was created here, we have these tabs up here, table, fields, and table, that are open here. That's because the table is there. As we open up different objects, you're going to notice that these change. Now, I just want to start with the different tabs up top here. And if you're familiar with Microsoft, you'll understand how the different tabs and ribbon works. So I'm going to start over here on the file. If you ever need to go back, you can see now this gets to back where we started, where I could open, I can save through here, I can print and do all the different things that are very similar that to Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. If I hit this arrow again, it brings me to here. Now I just want to point out the with home here, you can see right away, and I want to point out the different views. Now, as soon as I go to design view, you can see it's asking me to save my table, and I can name my table here also. So I'm just going to call this demo contact here, just like that, and hit OK. And you can see it changed. If I just bring this, or you can see what it has is the name of that table is demo contact here. All right, so in the table design is over here, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But if I can look at home now, I can switch my views, and you kind of go back and forth from these views quite a bit. That was design view, and then we have our datasheet view like this, and I'll explain the differences to those later. If you take a look through the home tab and check out the ribbon, you get to see everything of the sort and filter through here, we have our records and we have our find and we have our text formatting. So if you're familiar with Microsoft products, some of this stuff looks very similar. It can be kind of overwhelming when you see a new program like this, but we're not going to go through everything here today. I'm just going to break it down to what pertains to the simple table that we're creating today. Now we also do have our create tab up here, and if we take a look at the ribbon, this is where I could create more tables, and you can create more than one table in this and then have those connected through relationships, but we'll get to that at a different video. You can see where we have table design, queries, and different parts of it. So this is thinking about all the different things that you create inside here. We have our forms, our reports, macros, and code. As I mentioned, we are going to create a report. We're going to be creating forms, queries, and we already do have our first table. So this is the part of today that we'll be looking at. We have external data. So with external data, we can import something like Microsoft Excel. So if you had a contact list that with all the information, you could bring it into Microsoft Access. And actually, I am going to show you how to do that in today's video to save you some time so you don't have to go through and enter all the different contacts just for an example to play with. But I'll show you that later. So this is where you're going to bring in your information. We have our database tools, and this is where we can kind of build our relationship object dependencies. Again, a lot of this information here we won't get into this video today, and you have your help. All right, so let's get started going to our demo contact table and start designing it. So I know we already have a table here, but actually what I want to do is delete this table and then create a new one from scratch. And to do this, I could right click, and you notice that there is a delete right here, but it's actually not going to delete because I have it open. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I go ahead and hit delete, it says you can't delete it. What you need to do is make sure that this is closed down. So I'm just going to hit the X here. Now the table is closed. So if I go ahead and hit delete now, it's asking me if I want to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to say yes, and now that is gone. So you got to make sure that your table is closed before you can delete it. So now I can go up to the Create tab, click on Table, and I have a new table started here. I haven't saved anything yet, and to do this, I could right click over here and hit Save like this, or as soon as I try to change views, like I showed you before, if I go to Design View, this is another way to get there. If I click on it and give it a name, and this time I'll just call this Contact Demo, I'll switch it around and hit OK. Now I have that, and that table will be saved there. I do want to point out down below in the bottom right hand corner, you can change your views here too. So if you can see, I can go from the data sheet back to design view. There's a few different ways. Even if I right click on it here, I have my design view that I can switch back and forth between different things here too. So just so you know, you can switch those very quickly in all these different ways just by trying a few different right clicks. So notice up top, our table has a name here, same one, contact table, shows that it's saved and everything. And it also created this right across here, this ID. We're creating a very simple contact list here, so we actually don't need this for this example. I'm going to right click on this, and notice I can go ahead and select delete rows. It's going to prompt me in making sure that I want to do this. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes on this. Again, we don't need this for this example here today. Now at this time, I'm just going to go ahead and start creating the field names. And so inside Microsoft Access, we're going to have fields in these tables, and when we put in the person's name, that's going to be the record. So what is the field name for this one? Well, I'm going to put down, it's going to be first name. So I'm just going to go ahead and type first name like so. What's the data type in it? Usually it's going to be short text. So this is, you can see it's obvious that it's going to be short text. But if I drop down, you can see there's lots of different choices like number or long text. So if it was paragraphs, or if you wanted to do a number, because you can actually add in here, you can look for specific numbers. You can select things like date or time, and you can see from hyperlink, there's lots of different options. Again, this is a very simple database that we're creating doing today. I'm just creating a short text here. And this is where I can give a description to this field name. So I think this is pretty self-explanatory, and it's good to keep your field names self-explanatory. But if you do need to give it a description, go ahead and write in there. So if I go ahead and hit tab, notice it goes to the next line now. So what I want to do at this point is just type in last name, like so. This is going to be short text from my drop-down list, just like before. I can select that, description, and go on. So I'll just keep going through and populating these different ones. So I just went through, finished off the fields that I need for today's example. You can see it like this. Go ahead and hit pause on the video and just enter the ones the way I did. Or else if there's something different, or maybe you don't want as many, just don't put in as many. And then when you switch over to the other view, like I will do now, to the datasheet view, it's going to ask you to save it. Go ahead and hit yes. So at this point, you can see that across the top are all the fields that we created. Now, this is just like Excel. We can stretch out these columns. If I double click in between any of these, it will size out quicker to the exact what it needs. But this is where I enter my records in. So for an example, I'll put myself in here. So I put my first name, I'll tab over, I'll put my next name, and I can click into the spots too. I'll just make up an address here. Will be this, and will be 6th Street. And today will be in Phoenix, let's say. So the city, like so, and will be a Z. Give it a zip and a phone number. And so you can go through, enter what you want. And I'll just give it my teacher's tech email, just like this. So when I get to the end, if I hit enter, now I have another spot for a record. I just want to point out at the very bottom, if you look, and it's kind of cut off for this on this computer. I don't know why. I should have checked that before, but we can see record, and I have 2 of 2, even though I haven't entered another one. It's on the second line. I can go back to 1 of 1, and as I go through, you can see I can go through and it's ready for the next one. There is the search. So as soon as I was typing in my name, it will find what I'm looking for. So the search is going to look through all your different records that you have, and you can even create a new record. So if I go ahead and hit new blank record, it will go to the next line. Or I can do it the way I showed you. When I was done, I just hit enter and it went to the next line. So I'm going to go enter some more information here, and you go ahead to do that too. Let's say we put in about 3 or 4, maybe 5 in here, and then we'll go on to the next step. If you want more records inside of your table, like these ones that I have right here, you can actually import them from an Excel sheet. And I have the Excel sheet down below in the description. If you click on it, open it up and download it, and then you can import it in. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now before we go on, so you have more records to work with. So this is very quick to import from Excel, and how I'm going to do this is just by right-clicking. But before I do that, I'm going to close down this table. So close the table down, and now what I want to do is right-click here and notice that there is import. I just want to point out we can import in other ways too. You can see we can do our sources from file to Excel. So a lot of times what I do is just right-click right here and import. And this is going to be Excel. So at this point, I have a file on my desktop, so it's going to matter where you save this file to. So if I go browse, the one we want is contact demo, and that's what it will be named when I place it down below. I'm going to hit open. And now I want to append a copy of the records for the table. I can make a brand new table if I wanted to with it, but you can also bring it in. So I have just my name in right now. So if I hit append, and I'm going to go to, I only have the one table, so it's contact demo. I'm going to hit OK. And it shows me the columns and everything have to match in this case. So the names that I have match exactly what I created the table as. And so if you go through, you can take a look at how it's going to look. I'm going to hit next and import to the table. That's going to be what I want. I'd like the wizard to analyze my table. So if you want to do that, I'm not going to click that. I'm just going to hit finish. And at this point, I'm just going to hit close. It might not look like anything has been done, but now if I go and open up this table here, you can see all those names that were from the Excel spreadsheet are now in this table, so we'll have more records to play with. And you can go through if you wanted to. Remember, you can size these to the way you want to make it easier for yourself to read, if that's what you're going to do. And if you take a look at the very bottom, you can see that there's 51 records from here where we could continue on. Now let's go over to our form and make one of those in the database here in Access. So now I want to show you how to create a form in Microsoft Access. And what a form does for you, gives you another way that you can enter a new record into your database, or you can actually go through and search and look for different records also. So how we do this is, I'm just going to make sure I'm selected on this database here, and I'm going to go up to Create. And we've created a table from over here, and now I want to create a form. So if I go ahead and click on form, instantly this pops up. And remember, it hasn't saved yet, it's just there, and I'll save it in a moment. But right away, if I start arrowing through, going to the next record, you can see how it goes through. I can even click on create a new record at this point, but I'll do that a little bit more in a moment. Because the first thing I want to show you are the different views. And we're going to switch views just right up here. There's a form view, layout view, design view. I just want to show you quickly design view, because you can change the look how your form looks. So if I click on design view, you can see right away that all the fields that were there, it pulled up from the table, but you maybe want it to be capitalized here. So if I go in here, I could quickly go here and start typing something else like this, or I could even change it up from it, because these names here could be anything you want. This is the information that will be getting pulled from the table from those fields. Now I can even do more. I could go through, if I go back to home and formatting, you can see there's different, just like Microsoft Word, I could change the font size on any of these. I could stretch out, if you watch and get the handles, you can see how different ones will change the size. You just have to get the right handles here as you hover over, and you can see you stretch it out. You can make these shorter here. You can start changing all these things around to kind of adapt it to getting the way you want it to look. Now, the other thing I just want to point out really quickly here, and I won't be going into it, if I go to form design, there's lots of controls you can actually add into your form too. Take a look at these, from attachment controls to radio buttons. There's lots of different choices, and I'll get into this more in a different video. For what we're doing today, we don't really need to change this form too much. So that was under form design. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this form here. So I'm just going to, if I exit it, it will ask me to save it, or I could right click and hit save, and I'll just leave it as okay. Now you notice I have my tables here, I have my forms. If you don't see them, check to see that you're under all access objects, because you might just have, if you just go to tables, all you're going to do is see tables, but if you go all access, it will show. I also have the two open. I have my table here, and I have my form here. So I'm going to change my view here. I'm not going to change a lot of different looks in this, but you can play around with that how you see fit. I'm going to go to my form view here. Just like this, you can see how the first name is changed and highlighted a little bit bigger. I could go through, and the first thing I want to show you, you can make modifications through here. So see how the number ends with 4, 5. If I wanted to go, and maybe it was going to be 2, 3, and if I go through, I'm going to check my, go through and go back to this, and it was the first name, mine, and notice it says 2, 3. So whatever I did in the form over here, it updated my tables with the correct information. So you can make those edits inside your form to a record, and it will change it everywhere. So the other thing I just want to point out, you can go through and go through, just like I showed you the different records, and go next record. You can go to the end. You can create a new blank record. So if I start typing in something here, so if I was going to put We'll just go with Tom Brady here, and we'll just put Tampa. I don't have to fill out everything here. Let's say we'll just leave it there. And as I go through, and I'll go next record, that is going to be added to my record of information. So if I go back now, you can see that it's there. And if I entered another one, I can see the numbers that are going to be increasing here. So we'll just say Drew, and we'll go Bledsoe, like so, and then we'll just leave it, and then we'll enter another one, and the number keeps increasing. We're at 54 now each time I go through, and I can go through and edit those and add more information as if I needed it. I had the update information. So that's just a little bit about the forms, creating a form to help you input or even go through and examine. And remember, you can search in here. So if I search it, if I was looking for, I'll just type my last name, and notice how quickly it opened up this view in the form. So if I was typing Brady, like so, it's going to find that record, and I can enter more information for him. So that's a little bit about forms and how they connect with the tables and how you can use them to input more records or to search the records that you have. Next, what we're going to do under the create one, we're going to create a query based on the information, the records that we have. So a query is asking a question to all the records that you have in your database, and then it will quickly give you back the answer that you searched. So I'm going to show you how to do this simple one here today, and because we just have simple information with this contact list, I'm going to be under create, and we're going to use the wizard here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. It opens up this new query. As I mentioned, this is quite a simple one, so I'm going to leave it as a simple query wizard for this example. If you're following along, I'm going to hit OK. What I'm trying to ask here? So I'm going to say I do want the first name, and I'm moving it over here. I want the last name. We'll say city over here. I'm going to say email. So I'll just leave it like that, those 4 fields. And when I hit next, open the query and view the information. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to modify this in a moment in a different way, but I'm going to hit finish, and it gives me back everybody just in that format that I asked. Well, I can get more specific now on the questions that I asked, because really I haven't really asked it anything. It's giving me everything back. I'm going to go and change the view. I can save this if I want here. So I could save it. I could change my view this way or go back to the home, but I'll go to design view, and at this point, you can see these are the 4 fields that I chose, and what I want it to look for. If I go under city here, I'm just going to type Phoenix here. So if I just type Phoenix, like so, click off of it, notice that it puts it in quotation marks because it knows that it's text in there. If I go ahead and run this again, just click run, now it's bringing back just what I was asking it. I asked it, hey, how many are in from Phoenix out of this record? And it brought me back those 2. So I can go ahead and modify these even still. So if I go back and I'm going to click on this view again, I can bring more in. So I have my email. Maybe I want their phone number here. So I know that's one of my fields that I have. I could drag this down into here, run it again, and now I have their phone number there too. So I've asked it another question and it got even more specific. I'm going to go back again and click on this. So at this point, you can choose whether you want the field to show or not on the display. It will still be part of the question. So if I don't want the city there, if I go ahead and click off of it and run it, notice that the city isn't there anymore, but it still looked up the people from that city. It's just not displaying it. I just want to point out, and I'm not going over it in this tutorial, but with these, if you were using numbers, you could be looking for things like greater than or perform operations. There's lots of different things that you could add or that you could do in the different criteria within these queries. And I'll get into that more in later tutorials, but I just wanted to point out how you can do these simple queries. So now we've created our table, we've created a form, and we are asking questions through queries. Let's end this tutorial here today with a report in Microsoft Access. So to end this tutorial today, I want to show you how you can create a report. And so you could use this for printing, or maybe you wanted to send it to somebody as a PDF. but they're quite simple to do. And usually what we're going to do is base it upon a query that we created. So I wouldn't go to the table and create a report off of that because I'd have, if you had thousands and thousands of names and everything, that wouldn't make much sense. But what I would do is go to a query that I had got the specific information that I wanted, and then I'd go up to create. And you can see there's reports here, report design, report wizard. Since I have this query selected, I'm just going to go to report. You could go ahead and play with the wizard if you want, but I'm going to go and click report, and right away it gives me the reports here. So based on the Phoenix friends that I was looking for, I have it right here. So I can change the view of this like I've shown you before with other ones. If I go up to view, we could take a look at design view. So I can make a change here. So maybe this is I'll just say my Phoenix friends, just like so. And you could go through and adjust different things the way you want to change in there. So the other thing that I just, if I go back to my different views, you can see there's print preview. So if I go to print preview, this shows me what it would be looking like if I was going to print it. We can change it to landscape here, and it's telling me that it's the width and everything on it, how it's fitting. So we can change these different things. We have our page set up. We have our margins and our size. We can go ahead and hit print here, and then it's going to print to, if you did want to print it to your printer or PDF, you have those different options. So I hope you like this walkthrough, our beginner's tutorial of Microsoft Access. This is a very powerful program that can be overwhelming to a lot of people when they first see it. That's why I wanted to keep this simpler, this tutorial here today on Teachers Tech. Let me know what you're looking to learn in Microsoft Access. I do plan to do a series, that each one kind of advancing through getting a little bit more of the features that it can do in table relationships that you can make it even more powerful. Thanks for watching this time on Teachers Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.